The sports media palace of Mid-America, the Wolf of Center Street. Here's your host, John Nabors.
And welcome into the John Nabors Show here live from Natty State Sports Studios. Appreciate each and every one of you listening in and watching in on this beautiful day here in the great state of Arkansas. I am your host, John Nabors, and appreciate you for making us, each and every one of us, a part of your afternoon this afternoon, as we have a lot of things we're going to try to cover here on this Wednesday, as not only are we going to talk some college basketball in the NCAA tournament with Bobby Reagan of Barstool Sports, friend of the show, always look forward to catching up with him, but we're also going to look at some pretty significant college football news, specifically for the Razorbacks in the SEC. Later in the show, Michael Bratton of that SEC podcast will be joining us as well, and we'll be getting into your comments and into everything pretty much that you want to talk about and you want to dive into. But today, we got to talk about, of course, the biggest news that came out from the Razorback basketball program as Devo Davis, officially entered his name into the transfer portal. I'm not going to sit here and say that it was a shock or a surprise that Devo Davis was no longer going to be playing at Arkansas next season, but I was curious as to far of how it was going to go about. Was he just going to end his basketball playing career? Was he going to try to go pro? What was going to happen? I didn't know if transfer portal would actually be one of the cases, but that's what happened, and that's what he decided to do. And he also put out a statement on social media, as you can see on the screen now. It says, "Through the years of practice and hard work, my goal was always to play for the Arkansas Razorbacks. It was a dream come true to wear a Razorback jersey and represent my home state. I want to thank the Razorback fans, teammates, and coaches for their support. I'm grateful for the amazing sponsors that gave me opportunities to partner with their brands. From game-clinching dunks to hitting game-winning shots in March, the memories will live with me forever. With much thought and prayer, I've decided to enter the transfer portal and explore pro opportunities. No matter where this journey takes me, Arkansas will always be home to my family and me." Signed out on Devo Davis. So that was his official statement on the social media side of things. And honestly, I wish him nothing but the best. I know people are going to be feeling a certain way and are very shown it, at least on social media. Some of you, I'm sure, will be on my chat today on the show and blowing it up about how exactly you feel about Devo Davis and the things that you may like about him or not like about him and what he did or what he didn't do or anything. But I'm really just going to take the road of Devo as just a guy that did a lot of good things for Arkansas, was able to be a part of 3 teams that went to 3 straight Sweet 16s and 2 of those being Elite Eights, to be a guy that earned a nickname of March Devo. It wasn't given, it was earned because of his play really throughout not only sometimes SEC tournament, but specifically the NCAA tournament and helping Arkansas get to that point to be able to get into the Sweet 16 into the Elite Eight. There's no doubt that his impact on the program overall was a positive one. Doesn't mean that it didn't come with frustrations and with controversies and with annoyances, but without question, it was an overall positive impact that he had on the program. He gave 4 years of his college career to Arkansas. This past year did not go so hot. In fact, statistically speaking, it was his worst season that he had ever had, besides maybe three-point shooting, because his freshman year he was actually worse. But to think about what Devo meant to the program and what he was able to do is just, again, something that I don't want to overstate and something that I don't want to just move over from. Like, there is reasons and there's feelings about it. And again, all of you are going to feel a certain way. But to me, I look at Devo Davis as a guy that was just a really good player. I had his moments, but I think back to when Muss's first year, it was that post-COVID season. Or I guess you could, it depends on how you look at it. Like, the season ended before. It's kind of the first year where you actually had basketball. And there were so many COVID policies and procedures and everything to where you got games, but nobody could really go and watch them. Very few select could go watch the Hogs. Very few could go on to the traveling to up to Indianapolis and everything. But I remember looking at that particular team for Muss and seeing, all right, well, you got these experienced transfers that came in. You got some players that came from the previous year that are going to be able to play. You got a guy like J.D. Note who's going to be eligible now. And I thought, I looked at Jalen Williams even. I was like, okay, there's this 6'10" kid that's a freshman. You know, he's a 4-star. He may really work himself into something. But I kind of overlooked Devo when he was a freshman, just because I was more focused on Moses Moody as the guard position and J.D. Note. You still had Desi Sills on the team, which, you know, he was an experienced guy. You had Jalen Tate in that position. You know, you looked at all these different players, and Devo was kind of an afterthought. Didn't really think anything of him. And I remember looking at what he was doing as the season went on. Slowly but surely getting more playing time, getting more things to do, especially defensively. And I started thinking, oh, kind of like this kid. Comes in, gets a little energy, you know, has a guy who's just going a million miles in a minute, seemed like, to get no matter who it was, no matter who they were playing. He was always giving it his all and throwing it out there. But, you know, he just didn't really have a good shot. I think he shot 15% from three. Couldn't really shoot the ball necessarily well. He's a lefty. Wasn't a great free throw shooter. Wasn't a great passer. But he just had little elements to him that was just, all right, hey, there you go. I remember him throwing a ball between his legs like a center, hiking it to a quarterback and shotgun in the NCAA tournament and actually working out. I was like, what in the world? This guy's wild. But there were two things, I guess three things that really happened in that first year as a freshman in the NCAA tournament. So I mentioned that game where he gets Colgate, where he snapped the ball under his legs like a center. That was a wild thing. Arkansas won. But then I remember the next game when Arkansas was playing Texas Tech. And I think I even talked about this on the show yesterday. Devo Davis, as soon as the game was on the line and Texas Tech had the ball with a chance to tie or maybe even win the game, everyone knew that Mac McClung was going to get the ball. But true freshman Devo Davis denied him the ball completely. There was not one single second, one single moment that he even had a good look of getting the ball, much less shooting the ball. Locked him down. Arkansas ended up winning. And then the next game against Oral Roberts to go to the Elite Eight, Devo hit the game-winning shot. Well, it was a terrible shot. I don't think it should have gone in. Didn't look good, was not beautiful, was not open, was not anything, but it went in. And suddenly, March Devo was born. And he continued on. He just seemed to get a little bit better. Never great across the board, but better. His three-point shooting improved. His free throw shooting improved. His passing improved. His defense improved. And then into last season, of course, we know the struggles that happened last year and guys getting hurt and some of the frustrating close losses that Arkansas suffered during the regular season. Devo was still able to average about 11 points per game last season. 11 points per game. He shot 42% from the field, 35% from three. His free throw percentage was about 72. Could have used some work, but was able to get 4 rebounds a game, 2.5 assists a game, 1.5 steals a game. He was really coming into his own and the type of player, especially towards the end of the season. Now, again, we're just going through the history of it all. But I remember that Kansas game and looking back on it and seeing how every player was an important piece to Arkansas's win, but that game was really about Devo Davis and about Ricky Council. Both of them were making plays. Both of them were getting to the free throw line. And I believe Devo had 25 points against Kansas, and 21 of those points came in the second half. Incredible performance. And after the game, they're on the court. Muss is being interviewed. Devo walks up, and then you see Muss and Devo embrace each other and hug each other. And Muss talks about how much he loves this kid. It's like he's his son. And Devo goes, "I love you too, Coach." And then Devo starts doing the interview, but he gets really emotional about how tough it was that year. But figuring it out and having that moment. Like at that point in time, it felt like all of the frustrations that fans had with Devo Davis went out the door. That moment in time, everyone looked at Devo Davis almost like all of us, because we kind of felt the same way as fans. The frustrations, the struggles, the annoyances, all of that. Well, then it all came to a huge win, and the emotions poured out from out of us. Like, we kind of related to Devo. He's an Arkansas kid from Jacksonville. I mean, what could be better? What could be a better story than Devo Davis being able to do what he did and the way he wanted to? Again, I was just always so impressed by that. And I always appreciated Devo for all of that and what he was able to do. But I'll admit, after all that, when the offseason happened, and it was really about him and Jordan Walsh possibly returning, maybe not returning. A lot of questions up in the air. And he announced that he was coming back. It's not that I was sitting there saying like, oh, man, this is huge. This is now the team's going to be completely different. But it was one of those times where I'm like, man, yeah, I guess. But I figured you would have moved on. Been here for 3 years. It's a lot longer than other guys have been here, and people get tired of playing college basketball. Maybe you wanted to move on. But for the sake of continuation and being able to have a guy like Devo, who's got experience like nobody else, and you're only returning Trevin Brazil, who's coming off an injury, and Mekhi Mitchell from the previous team, it would be nice to have that continuity and coming together. And then this year happened. Everything was bad about this year, folks. I mean, everything was. And the stats for Devo were down to the lowest of low. And I'll never forget, I can't remember, well, when I say that, I don't remember which game it was. It was one of the non-conference games in the non-conference slate. But I'll never forget, there was a time where there was a timeout that was taken by Muss, and there was frustrations you could tell getting into the huddle, and everyone sitting on the bench. And I remember Devo voicing some frustration, saying, I'm done with this. I'm done with this team. I'm trying to clean it up a little bit, but when I saw that, I was like, man, I haven't seen that from Devo. Devo's a highly emotional person. We know that. But to see it that way and to see it said that way, I was like, well, maybe it's just he's upset. Maybe he's mad. Maybe they're frustrated, whatever. But I think that just carried on throughout the whole year. I hate the fact that this is going to be the lasting impression that Razorback fans have of Devo Davis. I hate the fact that when people will think back to Devo, not everybody, but when most people will think back to Devo, they'll be like, yeah, he's a good player, but that last year was a disaster. And all the rumors that were circulating like crazy on social media, over-the-top, absurd rumors. And then Devo leaving in the middle of the season again for back-to-back years, taking a sabbatical, if you want to call it that. It was just weird. It was weird. But that's kind of how I'm going to feel about the Devo Davis tenure here at Arkansas. Weird. Not always in a bad way, but not always in a good way. It was weird in a good way when you see him doing crazy plays and getting crazy emotional and doing crazy things, and it worked out. It was also weird in a bad way when he left the team and no one knew why, no one knew how, and the mistakes that were made and the lack of leadership that may have been there at times. Like, there was just a lot of uncertainties and a lot of weirdness to it. But I say once again, I appreciate what Devo Davis did for Arkansas. I mean, I am of the ripe old age of 35. If it wasn't for Arkansas basketball, Eric Musselman, and Devo Davis, I would have never been able to witness personally, and at least in a mental capacity, Arkansas having success in March. If it wasn't for them, I would have never been able to witness it. And there's a lot of people that are probably watching this stream that you probably wouldn't have been able to ever witness it either if it wasn't for Devo Davis and if it wasn't for Eric Musselman, if it wasn't for this run that Arkansas went on. I mean, Some of you old hats know about the national championship and Final Fours and Nolan Richardson, and I envy you for that. But this was the best that we've seen so far. And I want to remember it in a positive way. I want to remember Devo Davis in a positive way. I want to remember this era of Razorback basketball in a positive way. So I wish you nothing but the best, Devo Davis. I don't know what you're going to do. You know, you're going to go to an in-state school, go to Arkansas State, go to UCA, go to Little Rock, maybe something like that, maybe. Or you go outside of the state, go to some big school in the conference, maybe outside the conference, somewhere that you can play your final season and maybe have a lot of success there. Maybe. Or maybe do you just go pro? Decide to take your talents to wherever it may be, whether it's inside of the United States or outside of the United States. I don't know what's in store for you next. But I'll say thank you. And I appreciate you. It's been fun, but it's been weird. Very, very weird. If you want in on the conversation for the John Nabors Show, folks, you can get in on the chat, and we'll try to get to some of those comments as things go on. But I know people got a lot of reaction here about Devo and him transferring or entering into the portal / maybe going pro. Might be the best way to put it, because he did at least leave that open. But get in on the chat if you want to get in on the conversation there as well. But no names already coming in. Says, much love to Devo Davis. Good to your future endeavors, but why haven't we gotten a transfer to commit just yet? My man, the season just ended and the portal just opened, and they are working on a lot of that. But they also got to realize, like, they got to look at what their roster is going to be. Like, they got to balance it both out. Like, you got to look at it from their perspective. If you're the coaching staff and if you're Arkansas and Muss, it's like, all right, well, we got this team already that's still with guys that are eligible, guys that haven't made their decision. We got to figure out what they want to do, or if they want to move into the portal, or if they're moving on. So that way we know exactly how many roster spots we have, the type of players that we need to get, like all that. There's a lot of moving pieces to it, but I'm not too concerned about them not getting someone out of the portal just yet. It's Wednesday. It just opened this week. So, we can just wait and see on that front. Braden says, have you noticed on the transfers who lists the teams who contact them? It's always Arkansas, now Ole Miss is on a lot of these. I feel like Chris Beard is playing the same game. Of course he is. Of course he is. I feel like he did that a lot at Texas. But he's not stupid. Chris Beard's not stupid. That's how it's going to go. Kingsley, a residential watcher and listener of Natty State Sports, says, salute to Devo. That young man brought us a lot, some of the highest highs in recent Hog history. Much appreciated. That's kind of where I'm at too, man. That's where I'm at too. And Nick Winger, which, by the way, he was the one. Great job on the graphic, by the way. He's the one that made the graphics for Devo. Says, well said, John. Much respect. A hell of a Razorback career and still a lot to show. So he's still got a lot going on there. We'll see. We will see. Exclusive cards. He says, do you think Devo leaving means Muss, I assume he means Muss, is on his way out? Him and Muss are extremely tight. No, I don't think that's the case. You know, it's kind of like the KJ Jefferson thing, you know, where Pittman and KJ got along. Pittman and KJ had some really high highs moments and really were on the same page in a lot of cases. But I think even though Pittman loved KJ and KJ loved Pittman, they both saw it was best to just move on and start fresh somewhere else. I think that can be the same case with Devo and Muss, where it's not just about, oh, well, okay, well, how did you like him here? If he's moving, that means Muss is gone. There's no direct connection that way. To me, it's just you get to a point where you're like, hey, it's best for you and best for us if we kind of just move on. Go a different direction. That's not going to be the case always, but just think about it when that happens. Witt says, do you think Muss wishes he took more than 2 high school commits now? No, I don't think so. I mean, high school players are not going to be what turns this team around next season. You have to hit the transfer portal. Like, that's what's going to be. The only time Muss really had freshman high school players that he relied on for their success was, of course, I keep saying last season, but 2 seasons ago with Anthony Black, Jordan Walsh, and Nick Smith, which those weren't just regular high school players. Like those were lottery picks, like big time NBA draft picks. So I don't even count that. But besides that, you had Moses Moody. Well, it's really that first year of making the NCAA tournament that the team was kind of built around him. But even he was a guy that was a little bit different. You never really had to rely on many freshmen under Muss, and I don't think that's going to be changing. So, no, I don't think he wants to go that. I think he would, and also I would. I'd rather have transfers right now than worry about high school players. High school players aren't going to fix this issue right now. Transfers, hopefully, can do that. Braden also says Devo's legacy greater than KJ's legacy. Well, yeah, that's not even a question. Not even a question. Ice Cold Mint Julep says, remember the good and try to forget the bad. Some okay players flourish in some lineups, and Devo was this way, I believe. He didn't work this year because it was a mess of a team. I actually agree with that. It goes back to the establishment and getting the benefit of the doubt. Like, it's been established, Eric Musselman's a really, 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 really good coach. Really good college basketball coach. And this year, he didn't just forget to coach. I think it's the same way with Devo. Devo is a really good college basketball player. Like he's done some really great things. He's been remembered. He's been in these moments. No moment was too big for him, anything like that. I don't think he just forgot how to play basketball this year. There was a major problem in that locker room. A major problem. And I just don't think that was Devo's undoing or his fault or anything. Which also, by the way, I'm going to bring this up, and I'm not going to get into any details, but you all are going to know what I'm referring to. One of the biggest mistakes I think that have been made, and I felt this way when it was going on, with all those rumors that were happening on social media about Devo and about Razorback basketball players, specific ones, some of the ridiculous and pretty grotesque rumors that were getting thrown around. Like, you guys remember that? I know you do. The biggest mistake in all of that was it not getting put to rest by the people who could have done so. Everyone knows that it was out there, but instead of simply just putting out a tweet saying, hey, what all you said is going on is not going on. Stop. Stop doing this. These are absurd allegations. They are false, and I will not speak of them anymore. Something like that could have gone so far. Whether it was with the players that were involved, it could have been Muss that may have been able to say something. Somebody just say all of that is just completely and totally false. And then there you go. That would have changed everything, in my opinion. But it didn't. No one did. I felt like that was a huge mistake by them, too. Yeah, Bradford says, well, everyone knows the rumor that was led to the problem. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, you could have just easily said, none of this is true. Moving on. But no one did. I don't think I know many things, but I'd like to think I understand the human race slightly, and that if you have something juicy and dramatic and you start hearing things, and there's like, no way that's true. But then nothing happens where it dispels that over time and it continues to build and snowball. Suddenly begins, well, maybe it is true. Nobody has said anything otherwise, so it must be the truth. That's where if it's you can't address every single ridiculous rumor that gets thrown around, but it's also something that you got to address when it becomes such a big deal that everyone's talking about it. Like, there were other college basketball programs. I mean, there's transfers in the portal that are having negative recruiting towards them from other coaches besides Arkansas. Being like, hey, did you hear what Arkansas had going on over there? Wasn't that weird? Like, that's happening right now. So they gotta address that. They should have addressed that. I think that was such a blown opportunity. Slim Piggins says, don't read into. Devo wants a fresh start and deserves us. The odds of us getting a Devo interview with Scotty and Curtis just went way, way up. Can't wait for it. Yeah, absolutely. Would love to get Devo Davis in on the pod at the Palace. See how all that goes, which, by the way, folks, has been killing it. So I know I keep saying it, but transfer portal, Razorback basketball news, everything, pod at the Palace, Curtis and Scotty, best ones in the business. That's what you got to say. That's what you got to check out. But, yeah, Bradford wants to know why. So I wonder why they didn't dispel the rumors. I don't know. I honestly don't know. I know that they're untrue. Like, the absurdity of those things is so untrue. It's so false. And again, I just felt bad for everybody. It's just that's PR 101 in my opinion. Because here's the thing, if you come out and you say all of that's crap, none of it's true, then guess what happens? Everyone goes one or two things. Everyone's going to go, okay, thank goodness. Glad that that's not true. Or two, they're going to be like, I don't believe you. It totally happened. And it's like, well, they said it didn't. But if you don't say anything, if you say nothing, what do you expect crazy people to do out on the internet? Just crazy people to do out on the internet. Well, they're going to do crazy things. They're going to say crazy things. They're going to believe crazy things. And that's what it is. It's just all ridiculous and crazy. But I want to reiterate, I really do wish Devo Davis nothing but the best. Devo was awesome to me. And I know, again, first year he didn't get really many one-on-one interviews or anything like that. But every single time I talked with Devo at SEC Media Days or in press conferences or I saw him out and about, he was always really kind, came up to me, talked to me how everything's going, and, always was smiling, having a good time, and laughing it up. So, like, yeah, that to me is, well, I'm also personally going to remember Devo. He's a dude that was crazy and wild and fun, but also a really nice guy. The guy that meant the best for everybody involved. So, man, what a crazy time. And I don't think we're done yet, folks. In fact, I don't even think we're close to being done yet with all the stuff that's going to be going on. So you better keep buckling up because it's going to get wild. We'll get to a lot of your comments here in just a second, folks. But before we do, I got to tell you about Signature Bank and how it is banking redefined here in the state of Arkansas. They're privately held, and they have been doing this for a very long time when it comes to the banking in this region. They blend the warmth of familiarity of a community bank with the sophistication of a commercial bank and the expertise of private banking to deliver unmatched levels of service. You always think about ways of going forward, moving forward. And when I started this company of Natty State Sports, I wanted to really look forward into the future of how media is going to be done and how it's going to be held and forward thinking. And I always respect a lot of people that are forward thinking, and that's what Signature Bank is. They are very forward thinking. They don't make you work hard as a customer, and they offer technology when and where you need it. They don't overcomplicate things to where it's like, hey, you don't get to talk to a real person. You just do all this on your phone. You just do all this on the computer, and you don't even know, no one's there to help you. They don't like doing that. They understand that adding diversity to their services leads to a richer financial future for both you and the community, and they have a sincere desire to become your lifelong financial partner, nurturing the growth of your business, your family, and your shared community. So you got to switch your banking. Get your banking with Signature Bank, just like I have. And you can go over there in any of their locations that are conveniently located here in the state of Arkansas. You can also see more of their information by going online at www.signature.bank. That's signature.bank. Check them out today, and you'll be able to see all the great things that they have to offer at Signature Bank here in Arkansas. We'll take a break. When we come back, we'll get to more of the John Nabors Show, as well as more of your comments and some other headlines coming up next. So stay with us live from the Natty State Sports Studios.
We not done yet either. So don't be satisfied because we not done.
I mean, honestly, I don't really remember post-game. I guess I black out after games, winning and losing.
You missed it. You missed it. You missed it. Just tell me you missed it. I'm not going to go there with you, Dave. Why not?
And that will be the last question I answer with that hat on.
Oh, shoot.
That is why Arkansas is fantastic.
Yes, sir.
And I like, I didn't like the game, but I'm glad I was able to walk off the floor again and deep inside and have that funny feeling that, hey, one more time, Horns.
Best guys. I know it's a tough time for you. The coach is gone, but you got a new coach now, and you got to listen to what he says. Okay, I know you're thinking, oh, who is this new guy? Where's the other guy that crashed the motorcycle? We like him better. He was cool or whatever. Forget about all that. Listen to the new coach and get out there and win some games.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
You guys act like it's... Pick it up a little bit. Okay? Get your chin up. Smile. Smile. Okay? Dang, you guys, all right? If not, I'm not talking.
I'm so excited. Big Red. Oh.
Guys, I've got just one thing I want to say to you. Touchdown, Arkansas!
I was a teacher today. Told those boys, welcome to the SEC.
Well, Fayetteville is 1,843 miles away, but the call of the Hogs can be heard all the way to San Francisco.
Let's stick my dick in the mashed potato. Go Hogs.
Powered by Arkansas, for Arkansas.
Every time you put a mic in my face, I'm going to say Arkansas.
The John Nabors Show is live from the Natty State Sports Studios.
Welcome back into the John Nabors Show here live from Natty State Sports Studios. Appreciate each and every one of you listening in and watching in on this beautiful day here in the great state of Arkansas. We'll have your Arkansas update here in just a little bit, and we'll continue to talk about the things that are going on in Razorback land, college football. Arkansas football had some news today, which is basically kind of the whole conference, I guess. They all had something there, but we'll discuss some of those things too, and to get to more of your comments here in the stream before we do, because there'll be, I'm sure, some hot ones there. But getting back to some of the things that y'all were wanting to address here in the social media sphere on the stream, Kingsley says, we were talking about Devo Davis and about the addressing of the comments and how, or addressing of the rumors and how it wasn't done, and I feel like they should have. Kingsley says, once you address something once, then you got to address it every time. That's just not a great look. I know I don't disagree with that, but again, it's not like you were addressing ridiculous things each and every time that I'm asking. Like, we're talking about something that is impacting recruiting. It's questions that's been raised. Like, there's a lot of stuff that's been going on behind the scenes that could have been dispelled if it just would have been addressed earlier. That's my point. I know Sharkensaw says, this is your worst take yet, John. Once you've addressed something and you give rumor credibility, you're doing more than just giving it if it did happen, legs to the rumor. Again, I disagree. It wasn't just a small little piece or whatever. Like, it was gaining ground, and it was so much so that the coaches were hearing about it, the players were hearing about it, and everybody across the country was hearing about it. Like, we had a guy, I believe Jay Crane, that was of Daily Wire, like a national credible person that he talked about the rumors on his national show in detail. Like, that's not just some social media hubbub. Like, you got actual people with huge platforms talking about these rumors. So yeah, you need to address that one because now it's out there and it's gained ground. That's what I'm saying. Like, it was given legs. The rumor was given legs when national people were talking about it and addressing it. That's when you should have addressed it yourself. That's my thing. Sharkensaw also says the team addressed it by posting memes making fun of it. Yeah, they did, but again, it's like you needed more than that. I'm telling you needed more than that. Slim Piggins. The clowns that was pushing the love triangle crap because they're scared of their creative hairstyles and nails because of culture wars need to get a life. You're fooling negative recruiting against Arkansas. Yeah, that was exactly what it was about. It's just, you furthered some fuel to the fire, and you didn't need to do that with the negative recruiting and everything. Again, and it's impacting Arkansas right now, folks. It's impacting them right now in recruiting and in the transfer portal. It's there. So, well, let me just say, it was so insane. Now that wasn't even the case. Like, it wasn't even true. There's just no way. It was ridiculous. So, either way, let's see. Let's go ahead and jump into your Arkansas update here on the show, which of course is brought to you by Davis & Garrett Insurance, your independent auto owner's insurance agency, securing what matters most. So, yes, Devo Davis, Razorback Guard, officially enters into the transfer portal / possibly going pro. Basically, he's not going to be at Arkansas next year. So that's the big news going out. And I have a feeling that he's not going to be the only one that is entering into the portal from Arkansas. There are some that I'm surprised haven't yet. Maybe they just got to wait on some other things, or maybe they're just waiting till the very end before they can check it out. But yeah, I don't know. I just think that it was a surprise is all. But we'll see. That'll play out. But the big news for the Razorback football landscape of things, at least, is that the 2025 SEC opponents have been officially unveiled. We have been waiting on the scheduling for SEC football for a while now, moving forward past 2024. And when I saw the 2024 schedule, when it officially did get released of the opponents that Arkansas would be playing, I was like, wow, that's a great home schedule and actually a reasonable road schedule. You get 4 SEC home games in Fayetteville. You get 3 true road games, and you get 1 game in Arlington against A&M. That's pretty solid. I like it. I mean, as good as you could have it. But you had Tennessee, Texas, Ole Miss, and LSU at home. Missouri, Auburn, Mississippi State on the road, and Texas A&M in Arlington. So I was like, okay, that's fine. Can't wait to see what 2025 holds. Maybe it'll be really changing up. Maybe it'll be really crazy. Absolutely not. Did not get crazy whatsoever. In fact, it was the opposite of crazy because you are playing the same exact SEC opponents. The same exact SEC opponents in 2025 that you're going to be playing in 2024. The only difference is all the locations are flipped, except for the game in Arlington because that no longer exists in 2025. So Arkansas will be getting A&M at home in Fayetteville. So your home games in 2025, Texas A&M, Auburn, Mississippi State, Missouri, and your road games, LSU, Ole Miss, Tennessee, and Texas. Shoo, buddy. Yeah, that's a tough thing. That is a very, very tough schedule to deal with. Not to mention the fact that you also get Notre Dame at home that same year, and you get Arkansas State in War Memorial for the final Razorback game that'll ever take place in War Memorial Stadium. And I want to say you played Memphis, too, that year. Like, the schedule is really ridiculous if you look at everything. Yeah, so I talk about the 2024 season. So, yeah, it's a Missouri State. You open up the season with them in 2025. Then Arkansas State in War Memorial. And then they travel to Memphis on September 20th. Wow, that's a haul, man. That is a haul there in the beginning, and then moving on to the SEC play. So yeah, that's going to be pretty tough. But again, I'm just along for the ride. Doesn't matter. I mean, really, does it matter? What is Razorback football even going to look like in 2025? I mean, honestly, I have no idea. I don't know who's going to be coaching. I don't know who's going to quarterback. I don't know who's going to be on the team just because of the portal, the craziness. Like, I have no idea what next season was going to hold, much less this season. So, but I do love I like the schedule. I like playing Texas again, and I like being able to play Tennessee. I feel like the Tennessee-Arkansas game was always a really underrated game that didn't give enough attention. But I also saw that Brandon Marcello tweeted out that there's been an unofficial 1+7 SEC schedule model that's been put forth because it doesn't look like Arkansas. It doesn't look like the SEC is going to go to 9 games. They don't want to go to 9 games. So they're going to just stick with going with 8 games. And the 1+7 model means that each team gets 1 permanent opponent and then 7 rotating opponents. Like, that's what it is. So let's be very clear and very honest about something, folks, when it comes to Razorback football. You're not getting anybody else for your permanent opponent than Missouri. That's what's going to happen. You're getting Missouri, and you're just going to have to deal with it. I'm going to have to deal with it. because they're not going to give you Texas. They're not going to give you Ole Miss. Not going to give you LSU. Nothing. You get Missouri and you're going to like it. But since it's unofficial, there's still some time, I guess, to kind of figure it out. I look at it as if it's going to be Missouri, what does the rest of the SEC look like for their one permanent opponent? Because like Texas, for instance, it has to be Texas and Oklahoma, right? Has to be. And I guess A&M sticks with LSU because that's the permanent opponent for them. Ole Miss, Mississippi State, Alabama, Auburn. Maybe do, like, who's Oklahoma get? I'm sorry, not Oklahoma. They get Texas. But, like, who does Florida get? Do you go with them in Tennessee, maybe? Florida, Tennessee with those old big-time games that they used to have but haven't had them here recently? Or does Tennessee go with Vanderbilt? Do you do Florida, Georgia? I guess that one makes the most sense. Florida, Georgia would be that. Florida, Georgia, Tennessee, Vanderbilt, I guess. South Carolina, Kentucky. Boy. There's not a lot of great matchups there. It's like half of them are really good, then the other half are like, ugh, who cares? Like, they're gonna pump up Texas, Oklahoma each and every year like crazy. And the Iron Bowl and Florida, Georgia, like all that. But the rest of them, even Tennessee, Vanderbilt, I was like, nah, we don't care. Move on. Do not care. What about South Carolina, Kentucky? Doesn't do anything for you? Nope. Not a thing. Nobody cares. But I understand you're not going to make everybody happy. It would never happen. Never happen. I would love it if Arkansas and Oklahoma played each other every year just because of proximity alone, not just because they're a good program. But I truly wish that Arkansas and Oklahoma just played each other every year. I think it's 3.5 hours from Fayetteville, roughly. You're not going to get a better situation than that. But still. Schedule's out, 2025. There you go. Who even knows how the season's going to look? Who even knows how Razorback football is going to look? Let's see. Braden says, don't worry, Mizzou gets her tough game on the road at UMass next year. What a joke. Okay, so I'm gonna make fun of Missouri because I know that they always love. Here's two things about Missouri. I was used, as a lot of you may know, I was used in their hype video after they beat Arkansas this past year. From comments I made at SEC Media Days about Missouri and Arkansas, and I felt like Arkansas should have beaten Missouri more often than not because Arkansas was a better team, but they didn't win the game, and that's not a false statement. You see that happen all the time, though. Teams that are better than other teams don't always win the game. It happens pretty often. But for whatever reason, they try to dunk on me for that. And I'm like, I'm not backing down. That's not a ridiculous statement. Missouri was 100% better than Arkansas last year as a team. So guess what? They were better and they won the game. But I'm sure Missouri would have been quite upset if last year Arkansas would have beaten that Missouri team. They would be like, wait, we went 9-3 and they went 5-7. How did we lose to them? Now you understand what I'm saying. But this is how you know that Missouri is not a serious football program. When you have to schedule a game on the road against UMass. When you have to, if you're a big-time program, folks, you don't schedule road games against nobodies. Arkansas, because I know people are going to be like, well, Arkansas played Colorado State. The only reason they did is because they were supposed to play Michigan, and Michigan backed out of the contract. So that was all that was left. But when it comes to road games, I can understand playing nobodies at home. But road games? You're playing road games against UMass? That's how I know you're not a serious football program. Goodness. Terrible. But that's just, I wanted to make fun of them just a little bit more. Also, Missouri's good in football. They better be thanking their lucky stars they were good in football last year because, man, they are trash in every other sport. It is so bad. Mike says, so in 2025, we play all but 2 teams that won't be in the top 25 next year. Jesus. Well, what'd you expect? It's Arkansas, man. They get the toughest schedule each and every year. It's just par for the course. It's what they do. It's what happens to them. So, but there you have it, folks. There is your Arkansas update, brought to you by Davis & Garrett Insurance, your independent auto owners insurance agency, securing what matters the most. Coming up next here on the show, Bobby Reagan of Barstool Sports is going to join us, talk a little bit about the Devo Davis situation, but also about Arkansas basketball and the NCAA tournament, because that is going on technically already, but playing games don't count. The first round is always going to be the 64 teams. That's what really matters the most. But we'll talk to him and a lot more coming up next year on the John Nabors Show, so stay with us.
We not done yet either, so don't be satisfied because we not done.
I mean, honestly, I don't really remember post-game. I guess I black out after games, winning and losing.
You missed it. You missed it. You missed it. Just tell me you missed it. I'm not going to go there with you, Dave. Why not?
And that will be the last question I answer with that hat on.
Oh, shoot.
That is why Arkansas is fantastic.
Yes, sir.
You know, and I didn't like the game, but I'm glad I was able to walk off the floor again and deep inside and have that funny feeling that, hey, one more time, Horns.
Best guys, I know it's a tough time for you. The coach is gone, but you got a new coach now, and you got to listen to what he says. Okay, I know you're thinking, oh, who is this new guy? Where's the other guy that crashed the motorcycle? We like him better. He was cool or whatever. Forget about all that. Listen to the new coach and get out there and win some games.
Oh,
Brother, this guy stinks!
you guys act like it's... Pick it up a little bit, okay? Get your chin up. Smile. Smile. Okay? Dang, you guys, all right? If not, I'm not talking.
I'm so excited. Red. Oh.
Guys, I've got just one thing I want to say to you. Touchdown, Arkansas!
I was a teacher today. Told those boys, welcome to the SEC.
Well, Fayetteville is 1,843 miles away, but the call of the Hogs can be heard all the way to San Francisco.
Well, stick my dick in the mashed potato. Go Hogs.
Powered by Arkansas, for Arkansas.
Every time you put a mic in my face, I'm going to say Arkansas.
The John Nabors Show is live from the Natty State Sports Studios.
All right, welcome back into the John Nabors Show here live from Natty State Sports Studios. Appreciate each and every one of you listening in and watching in. Had a chance to catch up with Bobby Reagan of Barstool Sports earlier today to talk not only about Devo Davis, about the NCAA tournament, a little bit about Razorback basketball. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. Right now we're joined by a very special guest because, let's be honest, it is one of the best, if not the best time of the year for all things college basketball. It's the NCAA tournament. It's already technically gotten underway, but the really great games don't really get started here until the next few days, but it's such an amazing time, and there's no better person to talk more about it as we welcome in the man himself of Barstool Sports. It is Bobby Reagan, all-time ball knower. What's going on, Bobby? How you doing this afternoon, man?
I'm good, man. I'm good because we don't have to watch Virginia anymore. Like, that's the happiest time I've ever been.
Dude, like, that
team sucked.
How did they get into the tournament? Like, for one, like, that's my thing. It's like, how did they get in?
To me, and I said it when it happened, they are the worst at-large selection team I can ever remember. Like, I remember, like, when VCU got in, that was a thing, but they were better metric-wise than Virginia. Like, it makes no sense. And I'm trying to enjoy the NCAA tournament, but the committee almost ruined it for me by putting Virginia in. Even the fact that it was the first four, just because it was a standalone game. I had to watch. I turned down tickets to a sweep yesterday in Dayton because I didn't want to watch Virginia in person. And like, I will go almost any game, but I had to take a stand. I was not going to watch Virginia in person. Instead, I sat in my recliner and watched them otherwise.
I felt like, to me too, it was a lot about just the amount of teams that ended up being bubble busters, I guess, because you had these teams win these conference tournaments and may not have gotten in, but I still feel like there was other worthy opponents. But is there, like, how do you change that? Like, how do you fix that? Is it just the committee being dumb and not making a decision later?
Yeah, it's the fact that we have 12 athletic directors in charge of this thing. And it bothers me so much. I forget who tweeted it. Might have been Borzello. I forget. One of the guys tweeted it where they were like, can we stop thanking the committee for just doing their job? Like on Sunday night, everyone, like Seth Davis will be like, oh, thank you so much for your hard work. It's like they pick 36 teams, seed them. Really, the seeding tends to be the biggest problem, but it's pretty easy to figure out a lot of the seeds. And they had to stay up till 2 a.m. one night. Like, cool. Good job, guys. You failed. Again, this is the worst committee I've ever seen. We need people to do this full time. Like, have 2 athletic directors in there to make sure that everything matches up and whatever. But how can bracket matrix be so much better than what the actual committee spits out? It's insane. Like, give me people that understand the sport, understand when you're looking at a team sheet what it actually means. Instead, you have the committee chair coming out and saying they devalued some of Seton Hall's big wins because Klinging was injured. What's that slippery slope then? Because why was Virginia? Virginia got in basically because of 2 wins. They beat Florida, who I don't think had Zion Poole in, and they beat Texas A&M, who basically had everybody injured. Why is that not mentioned? So it's like, I'm just a regular guy, and I can point that out. We have 12 people making decisions, and they don't say that, or they can't come up with a reason for Virginia to be in. It was the most egregious at-large selection I've ever seen. And I'm 37 years old. It's not like I'm going back 5 years. I've been watching this for a long time. I don't ever remember something that bad. And then the seedings are a mess. How does UConn get the 2, 3, and 4 seeds they get? How's Florida Atlantic an 8 seed? I love Florida Atlantic. Really, if you're looking at the resume, I don't know if they even belong in the tournament. And that's the other thing. It's the at-large bids are, and it's the discussion, the best teams, but it's not. It's supposed to be the 36 most deserving teams. What are we doing here? Like, it's this archaic thing. You know, I see people being like, well, we should just get rid of the committee and have a computer spit it out. Okay, well, you still got to come up with a formula. You can't just do net. You got to have some sort of like BCS almost, computer ranking. Something has to be done because it's 2024 and we still have 12 athletic directors who frankly don't really understand the game, trying to make decisions that dictate money, championships, coaching extension, coaching hires. The guys get drafted on NCAA tournament runs. Like, it just annoys me to no end.
Yeah, I can kind of tell you're a little bit annoyed by it, but I understand though, because
it's just like, come on. Like, yeah. It's for us that watch the game starting in November all the way through, and then Selection Sunday hits. It's supposed to be this awesome time. We're supposed to get the bracket. And instead, we're just like arguing about things that should be easily solvable. Yet it's the NCAA, which they're just the worst. Like, I just hate them so much.
Well, hopefully they don't end up being in much power here. I was going to ask you, actually, what did you like and didn't like, but I know you went into it as far as the seeding and everything for certain teams. But just looking at, though, the 1 seeds, the 2 seeds, all of those, kind of the favorite teams, do you feel at least the committee got those teams right and where they were set up, or do you feel like maybe some are a little bit overvalued?
Yeah, I guess. I'm fine with UNC as the 4th 1 seed. You know, you can poke holes in basically any resume. I think and this is no disrespect to Iowa State, because their resume is definitely worthy of a 1 seed. They might be the least talented 1 seed we would have ever saw. And now they could still win the thing because they find ways to win games. But if you look at the history of 1 seeds, you're typically talking about teams that the most casual fan can rattle off. I do have a problem with Iowa State not being the top 2 seed. Like, it's not recency bias. They beat Houston twice. And it's like, I just don't know. You know, if anything, that hurts UConn too, because how does UConn get Illinois is the 3 seed and Auburn is the 4 seed, the 3 tournament titles from the next 3 best leagues. So it's like, okay, that doesn't make any sense. Marquette is a 2 seed. Yeah, I mean, Kolek's back, so, you got to kind of factor that in. I didn't really have a problem with who got 1s and 2 seeds, which typically that is end up, what should be the bigger debate rather than who's in and who's out most years. But yeah, I mean, listen, I think UConn got a raw deal with their bracket. I think, again, if you went to UConn and offered them a straight up trade region-wise with Purdue, they take it in a heartbeat.
Speaking with Bobby Reagan of Barstool Sports here on the John Nabors Show. Now, Bobby, looking at the SEC teams, I know Tennessee is the highest seed there too, and I don't know, maybe this is the year Rick Barnes finally does something with it, but not only them, but also Kentucky, your Wildcats. I don't know if they're the betting favorites, but I could see them making a run just of how much they can score. But of the SEC teams in the tournament, is there certain teams that you like more to make a run considering the matchups that they're going to be going up against?
Listen, I hate how many people are like now high on Kentucky because of the draw and everything. I've seen this story every year, and I'm a contrarian by heart. Can we stop? Can we just start picking Oakland to win? Because every person has Kentucky making like the Elite Eight and or further, and I'm just like, oh God, I'm just getting flashbacks to St. Peter's again. Tennessee, like, they should, but it's Rick Barnes, and I know like the recent thing is coaches have dispelled the but in March theory, right? Like Tony Bennett did it, Drew did it, Hurley did it, Self got his second, and that was always a thing. But at the same time, I watched the SEC tournament. They scored 20 points in the first half against Mississippi State, and it's just like, oh, that's what I'm used to with Tennessee in March. Alabama's draw isn't horrible. I could see them, like, they match up decent against UNC. If that ends up being a Sweet 16 game, maybe that's like 120 to 118 game. I wouldn't be surprised. I don't know. Like, the SEC has weird draws. Mississippi State, Michigan State is probably the grossest first-round matchup. Like, I'm going to be furious watching that thing, except for Josh Hubbard because he's the only entertaining player there. Auburn, I mentioned them. They got a tough draw all the way through. So, I think Auburn's on fire, but it's like they have to play, San Diego State or UAB in the second round and then UConn. And like UConn's awesome. I don't care what they do in the NCAA tournament. UConn's awesome. My heart obviously says Kentucky, but my head says everyone's picking them. That won't happen.
Yeah, I was looking at the draw too, and Kentucky, of course, they're scoring and all of that, but I don't know. Like maybe it's just because it makes me nervous. Anytime a team that can score a lot of points at any given time, it's a bad shooting night, and it just seems like it's over. Because I know you watched, and I'm not trying to bring up Arkansas, but no, you watched that stupid game in Rupp that in regulation it was like 217 points scored in the game. It's just like, and that's against an Arkansas team that's not exactly a great offensive team. So that's, I guess, what my reservation on Kentucky is. They can score with anybody, but if they just have one of those bad nights, I just don't know if defensively they can do anything.
Yeah, it happened in the SEC tournament where it was a slow start. Kentucky finally gets some stops in the second half, but the shooting's not there. And it cost them a chance at, winning that game. Now, I do think that's a little bit weird because I think A&M's kind of the prototypical team to beat Kentucky, right? 2 guards that can beat people off the dribble. That defense just beats you up. Like, I'd be very thrilled to never play Texas A&M again. That Buzz just kind of figured that out, and that team was made to beat Kentucky. But I look and it's like, all right, Oakland has shooters. They're not necessarily going to beat you off the dribble and break it on that way, but Jack Golke shoots 142 threes a game and nothing else, and they have a good big guy in Trey Townsend. But yeah, the defense scares me, and it's weird because the other thing with Kentucky is it's a pro and a con, and there's only so many teams that kind of have this, like Kentucky does, of you don't know who your best lineup is going to be on a game-to-game basis, right? Like you have the 4 guards. A couple of times it's been DJ Wagner. Sometimes you can't play Rob Dillingham. Sometimes you have to play Rob Dillingham and Reed Shepherd and just let them do their thing. You don't know. And then the 3 big guys. who ends up playing the most, not getting in foul trouble, and Thiero and Edwards and Mitchell. So it's like that's what's good. That's honestly as terrifying as the defense to me is that Calipari has to hit right on his lineup decisions every single game.
I'll say this too about Tom Izzo and Michigan State. Going back to that, I saw that you tweeted about his comments, and then he tried talking about mid majors and not doing these automatic bids and everything. This guy is the worst. I didn't used to care about him, but man, he has really become the worst at everything.
I read the full quote, and I think it was more misunderstanding of what he was trying to say. I think he was trying to say that tournaments shouldn't expand. It's like 5 paragraphs of jumble, so I don't know really what he was trying to say. I had a blog ready, then I pulled it back after reading the full quote and was like, I still don't know. Like, he talks about defending them and then upsets, but then moving forward. So I'm like, is he saying we shouldn't expand and everything's perfect? Like, I don't know. I'm not a huge Izzo fan, but in fairness to him, I did read the full quote, and it's just confusing as ever versus making fun of him, which I wish we could.
Yeah, let's hope that maybe it wasn't taken out of context and it was actually that stupid of a comment. Maybe we could get to that point because, I'm not a fan of him either. I know that you got a lot going on, man, and before I let you go, I'm going to talk about Arkansas because I'm going to bring up Devo Davis entering into the transfer portal, the guy that you feel like has been in college for 7 years, but also
been around forever.
Yeah, but also man. Like, this year for Arkansas had high expectations. I know people in Arkansas were really fired up, but this was a disastrous season. Just what did you make of Arkansas in this year?
I think Muss missed completely in the transfer portal, which is weird to say because that's where you can make a case that Muss is the best at the transfer portal. He took guys that didn't really fit together. And I don't know if he kind of had a plan and then something fell apart, or if he saw, hey, if I get these guys, I have a plan on how this can all work out, and it just never came to fruition. But you look and it was just like, what exactly, on an individual level, I can see why you'd be interested in this guy, but you have 7 of them back at Arkansas already, and you're still missing, the great shooting that you need, or the kind of glue guy that you need. There was no cohesion basically on the team in that. So that's what I think derailed Arkansas more than anything else. Now, I still think Muss is a great coach. If however long he's at Arkansas, I think this will be more of an outlier than the expected outcome. But yeah, it was weird seeing them where it's just like they're easily one of the 3 worst teams in the SEC, and that you shouldn't say that about Arkansas outside of a weird year. So, if he's at Arkansas next year, it's an important year. You can't have multiple of these in a row at a school like Arkansas.
Yeah, especially going last year, they finished 10th in the SEC. So just getting into the tournament was big for them. But yeah, you just can't have it done that way. But either way, it's going to be a fun time to see you in the NCAA tournament, even though Arkansas is not in it, but that's okay. But Bobby, as always, man, appreciate you joining me, and have fun this March Madness, man. We'll see you, all right?
As long as my heart's not ripped out, I will try. Just one run. Can I just be happy one time? Like, listen, my own personal sake, I started with Barstool the year 4 months after Kentucky's perfect season was lost in the Final Four. I haven't seen a Final Four since. I need it for my own sanity's sake. Like, put in too much work, watch too much bad basketball. Just give me one run, just one, and then March will be just fine.
I have zero sympathy for you, so I can't have anything. I want to see. Hey, listen, I guess 2 Elite Eights ain't bad, but yeah, I want to see a Final Four run too. But who knows? Maybe this will be the year for you.
I haven't even seen an Elite Eight since 2019.
Oh yeah, that is true, man. It has been so long. So hey, maybe this is the year though. Maybe this is the year. You never know.
I need it.
Yeah, it's gonna be crazy, man. Well, have a good one, man, and enjoy March Madness. All right.
All right, man. Thanks for having me on.
We not done yet either. So don't be satisfied because we not done.
I mean, honestly, I don't really remember post game. I guess I black out after games, winning and losing.
You missed it. You missed it. You missed it. Just tell me you missed it. I'm not going to go there with you, Dave. Why not?
And that will be the last question I answer with that hat on.
Oh, shoot.
That is why Arkansas is fantastic.
Yes, sir.
and I didn't like the game, but I'm glad I was able to walk off the floor again and deep inside and have that funny feeling that, hey, one more time, Horns.
Best guys, I know it's a tough time for you. The coach is gone, but you got a new coach now, and you got to listen to what he says. Okay, I know you're thinking, oh, who is this new guy? Where's the other guy that crashed the motorcycle? We like him better. He was cool or whatever. Forget about all that. Listen to the new coach and get out there and win some games.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks! You guys act like it's... Pick it up a little bit, okay? Get your chin up. Smile! Smile! Okay? Dang, you guys, all right? If not, I'm not talking.
Big Red, so excited. Big Red. Oh.
Guys, I've got just one thing I want to say to you. Touchdown, Arkansas!
I was a teacher today. Told those boys, welcome to the SEC.
Well, Fayetteville is 1,843 miles away, but the call of the Hogs can be heard all the way to San Francisco.
Well, stick my dick in the mashed potatoes. Go Hogs.
Powered by Arkansas, for Arkansas.
Every time you put a mic in my face, I'm going to say Arkansas.
The John Nabors Show is live from the Natty State Sports Studios.
All right, welcome back into the John Nabors Show here live from Natty State Sports Studios. Appreciate each and every one of you listening in and watching in on this beautiful day here in the great state of Arkansas. And before we get it going, because I know people have some questions about who will enter the transfer portal next for Razorback basketball, but I want to remind everybody that here on the John Nabors Show, as well as Natty State Sports, we're brought to you by Autograph. Tom Brady co-founded this company, and he has one mission in mind: to change the fan experience for the better. We all are going to consume media. We're all going to read articles about our favorite teams, just like we do here at Natty State Sports. We have phenomenal articles. We have phenomenal podcasts, and they have it all over there at the app of Autograph, which is easy to download. If you don't know where to get your apps, then we can help you, but you should know. You should know how to download these apps. But you can read articles, and then you can also listen to the top podcasts from hosts in their app. You can refer your squad, and you can get rewarded together so you can unlock the most flex-worthy rewards curated exclusively to you. You download the app, and you start getting rewarded for all the things that you already do as a fan, like reading those articles and checking it out. And with all the college basketball going on right now and all the coverage, you definitely need to do that. And you can attend events. You'll get rewards like tickets and various other great things. So check it out today by downloading the Autograph app on your iPhone or on your Android. But be sure to use code Natty, N-A-T-T-Y, code Natty. You can use the little QR code that we have in here in our video, and you can also visit the link at link.ag.fans/Natty. Be sure to check it out with Autograph, official partner here of the John Nabors Show, as well as Natty State Sports. So some of you were asking in the chat and into the comments, very nicely, I'm sure, but about who else is going to transfer for Arkansas basketball. And right now, the roster tracker, if you check it out at nattystatesports.com, you know of Keon Minifield entering into the portal. You know of Denijay Harris entering into the portal. You know officially now Devo Davis is entering into the portal. And so Joseph Pinion also, can't forget him. He also entered into the portal. So you're talking about four players who have officially entered into the portal for the Razorback basketball team. What you're waiting on is Caleb Battle, who has 1 year of eligibility remaining. Trevin Brazil has 2 years. Layden Blocker has 3 years. Babe Fall has 3 years. And Tremont Mark has 2 years. You do have Jalen Shelley and Isaiah Elohim as your true freshmen coming in. At least they're signed. But people are waiting on the next few. Well, with only 5 players left there, I feel like you might be losing both of the true freshmen from this past season. Again, it's just a feeling. I feel like Blocker and Fall might be the guys that move on. Which, if that's the case and you're able to keep Caleb Battle, Trevin Brazil, Tremont Mark, I'm definitely going to take that. But I feel like there's going to be more players that enter into the portal. But I also heard, I think this is from Curtis, actually. I also heard that Mekhi Mitchell still is trying to get another year of eligibility to try to get a medical redshirt season for one of the years he was at Maryland. Something to that extent. I'm not saying that Mekhi would come back to Arkansas. Don't get me wrong. But he could still be playing college basketball somewhere. So just kind of be on the lookout for that. But either way, we know that that's the current situation of the roster and what it looks like for Arkansas. I'd love to have I don't know if that's the thing. Is like, who do you want back? Like, if you say I want all 5 of those players back, I mean, what is it about Bay Fall? And this is nothing against Bay Fall. Nice kid. But what would be something you saw from Bay Fall in 1 year that you're like, oh, yeah, I'd like to have him back? He's a body. He is a McDonald's All-American, or at least was. But there was nothing I saw this season that makes me think, oh, yeah, I'd love to see Bay Fall come back. That makes sense to me. No. And even Layden Blocker, who I really like Layden Blocker. I liked him at times. I thought he played fairly well at times. But just going off of his game his freshman year, there's nothing I look at to be like, oh, yeah, you for sure got to make sure Layden Blocker comes back. I think he could be a good player. And if he came back, I'd love it. Like, don't get me wrong. I'd love it if Layden Blocker came back. But I also don't see it as just, oh, man, the worst thing that you've ever had happen to you is happening right now because, my goodness, this guy is not coming back next year. What are we going to do? Like, that's not the approach I'm taking. So you got 5 guys still on the roster currently. And somebody, 1, maybe even 2 players are going to enter that portal this week. Just telling you right now. Somebody's going to do it. But the key is going to be looking at Battle. Because I think Battle plays another year in college. I don't think he goes pro. But there's a lot of people that are after him, rightfully so. Performed really well. But I think he's the one that you really need to make sure you try to get back next year. Tremont Mark could transfer again because I think that there's that new rule to where you don't have to worry about transferring multiple schools anymore. You can just go and not lose any years of eligibility. So he would be somebody that I know is getting a lot of phone calls, but I don't know if he would leave. I don't know what for or who for. I don't think he's going pro. But Trevin Brazil is the one that I could see going pro. And you probably just roll your eyes like, oh, well, why? Why would you want to see him go pro? Or it's not that I'm saying I want to, but the NBA, more so than probably any other league, drafts on potential. And you can say whatever you want. Trevin Brazil's got huge upside. We saw it at times. We saw what he's capable of. The consistency is lacking there. He's dealt with some injuries, but it wouldn't surprise me at all if he came back next season or at least played another year of college basketball. Maybe that's the better way of putting it. But random stuffs here says, I say Battle Mark Brazil will test the NBA waters and keep their eligibility. Yeah, I could see that happening too. I mean to click off of it so quickly. Yeah, I could see that happening too. I can see all these players doing it. Testing the waters, see what happens, and then holding out. The only difference is you can't do that, man, as a school. Because you remember how long it took for Walsh and Devo to make their decision last year? And Arkansas was just kind of left there saying, like, okay, what are y'all doing here? We got players we're trying to recruit, but we can't recruit them if you guys are coming back. So what do we do? That's kind of the sucky part about it, is it really holds it hostage, holds the school hostage. And so I couldn't imagine how that would look or play out for that. But NBA is weird. Basketball is weird in college because of the portal window, and it's hard to keep up with everything and scheduling wise. And I mean, you're basically free to do whatever you want, it seems like. You can't handle the truth. Says Brazil killed his NBA value this year. I don't disagree that it took a hit. I don't think it got killed, though, because I still believe that there are reasons to think he could still go to the NBA and be successful. Like, I'm not shutting the door on him. I think it is absolutely still possible that he could end up doing that. I really like Brazil, too. Like, I'm serious. I really do. I really like Brazil. And I would love to see him back another year, too. Patrick says, Blocker could go off-season and get better, but I guess that ship has sailed. But we know players can regress from being decent to falling flat like Devo. I don't think Devo fell flat this year. It was more of just the team just wasn't there. I mean, Devo got better each and every year he's at Arkansas, except for this past year, statistically at least. And I just don't know if, but I agree with you in principle that, yes, you never know what players are going to take those steps forward. Because people always bring this up about Muss. Oh, what player has he developed? What players have gotten better since they arrived on campus? I was like, well, Jalen Williams did. J.D. Notae did. There's 2. I say Devo Davis did. Not this year, but overall, I think Devo Davis did. I'm trying to think of anyone's off the top of my head that I know for a fact that they got better. I'd even say Mekhi Mitchell. How about that? Mekhi Mitchell for sure got better from last year to this year. That's not even a question. Patrick Smith says Mason Jones got better. Yeah, Mason got better under Muss. I think Isaiah Joe got better under Muss. And those guys give a lot of credit to Eric Musselman, especially Moses. Isaiah Joe gives a lot of credit to him and what he's been able to do and take it. So, yeah. Let's see. Zach says, what transfer do you see Arkansas getting? My man, first off, go to nattystatesports.com and check out the portal tracker. That's Curtis and Scotty. And they've been doing a pod at the Palace every day, so check that out because they're keeping you updated on it. But I have no clue. I know what players that they're kind of interested in and, that they're getting mentioned. They've been contacted by Arkansas, all these different players. You don't know which ones they're actually interested in or not. So it's pretty chaotic. But overall, I think that it's still going to be fine for the players that they get. I think that they'll get a player here in the next few days coming in. I really do. They just got a lot of negative recruiting against them right now. And this is the first time that Muss and the staff have had to deal with this. Because each and every year at Arkansas, it's always been nothing but positive recruiting. Not only have you had success on the court and getting far in the NCAA tournament, but you've also been able to put players into the NBA. Each and every year that Muss has been here, a player has been drafted. That ain't happening this year. So everybody's jumping in trying to do some negative recruiting against Muss in Arkansas right now. I don't know about that. Let's try to do this one. Jordan Walsh got better under Muss. Yeah, Jordan Walsh did. Now, it was hard to see year to year, but yeah, as the season went on, for sure, he definitely got better. And Kingsley says, people taking unwarranted shots at Devo today is real weird behavior, man. I know, Kingsley, but you can't say you're surprised. I'm not saying it's right, but it's not surprising either. When there's weird behavior in people's minds by someone like Devo with, leaving the team twice and the craziness in surrounding it and then the frustrations that came on the court and then just feeling like it wasn't all there for him. And, people are going to be they're going to do what they're going to do. I mean, again, I'm not saying it's right, but it's just the reality that they live in. I have no problems with Devo. Again, I wish him nothing but the best. I do know that he was looking to play college basketball again. It wasn't like he was moving on with his career. He was still trying to play somewhere. But this is just not the situation that you want to find yourself in if you're a Razorback basketball fan. It's just not what you want to do. But we'll have some more things to talk about, though, with Michael Bratton of that SEC podcast. We'll talk some football with him and what he thinks about the schedule, especially with Arkansas at the SEC and some of the other madness surrounding it here in just a second. But, folks, I want to tell you, of course, about Alumni Hall here in Fayetteville. We know Razorback baseball season is still in full swing. A lot of home games. You're planning out that because the weather's getting nicer and you're going to be making your way to Fayetteville to go over to Baum-Walker Stadium for a game. Well, make sure that you have the greatest and nicest apparel that anybody could ever offer when it comes to all things Razorback with Alumni Hall. You can go to the website at nattystatesports.com/alumni hall. That's nattystatesports.com/alumni hall. Visit that website and you'll see all the things that they have to offer and to choose from when it comes to the nicest things like Peter Millar, Columbia, Johnny O. They got Nike Golf. They have it all. So you got to check it out. And it's all the apparel, not only just for the guys, but for the gals, for the kids, for the pets, for everybody. And they have plenty of baseball gear. They still got the baseball jerseys, got the baseball hats. In fact, I need to go over there and give me another golf polo, which, by the way, Natty State Sports might be getting into the golf polo game too, just a heads up. But they always do it right, and they always have everything that you could possibly ask for. Like if you see somebody with a Razorback shirt, 99% of the chance that they got it from Alumni Hall that you really like. Same thing with all the decor. They got decorations over there that if you go to someone's house and they got a really cool Razorback thing, odds are they got it at Alumni Hall. So check them out today at www.nattystatessports.com/Alumni Hall. You can also check them out here in Fayetteville, their location at College. But no matter what it is, when it comes to all things Razorback, the ultimate Razorback fan shopping experience, make it happen with Alumni Hall here in Fayetteville. We will take a commercial break, and when we come back, we will get to our interview with Michael Bratton of that SEC podcast. You won't want to miss it, so you better stay tuned.
We not done yet either. So don't be satisfied because we not done.
I mean, honestly, I don't really remember post-game. I guess I black out after games, winning and losing.
You missed it. You missed it. You missed it. Just tell me you missed it. I'm not going to go there with you, Dave. Why not?
And that will be the last question I answer with that hat on.
Oh, shoot.
That is why Arkansas is fantastic.
Yes, sir.
You know, and I like, I didn't like the game, but I'm glad I was able to walk off the floor again and deep inside and have that funny feeling that, hey, one more time, Horns.
Best guys. I know it's a tough time for you. The coach is gone, but you got a new coach now, and you got to listen to what he says. Okay, I know you're thinking, oh, who is this new guy? Where's the other guy that crashed the motorcycle? We like him better. He was cool or whatever. Forget about all that. Listen to the new coach and get out there and win some games.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks. You guys act like it's... Pick it up a little bit. Okay? Get your chin up. Smile. Smile. Okay? Dang, you guys, all right? If not, I'm not talking.
I'm so excited. Red. Oh.
Guys, I've got just one thing I want to say to you. Touchdown, Arkansas!
I was a teacher today. Told those boys, welcome to the SEC.
Well, Fayetteville is 1,843 miles away, but the call of the Hogs can be heard all the way to San Francisco.
Well, stick my dick in the mashed potatoes. Go Hogs.
Powered by Arkansas, for Arkansas.
Every time you put a mic in my face, I'm going to say Arkansas.
The John Nabors Show is live from the Natty State Sports Studios.
Welcome back into the John Nabors Show here live from Natty State Sports Studios. As we've had a lot of things talking about today, dealing with Devo Davis entering into the transfer portal has really been the biggest thing. But still, I'm not surprised. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just it's something that people have their reaction to and they feel a certain way about. But I'm like, man, I'm not surprised at all that Devo Davis is transferring out. I wish him nothing but the best. Again, want to make that clear. I wish him nothing but the best. So make that clear. Also, a little programming note for here at Natty State Sports. Myself and my business partner, Branson Van Landingham of Natty State Sports, we're going to do a live stream later tonight. I want to say later, like 8 o'clock or so, as we're going to give everybody an update on kind of how everything's moving here at Natty State Sports. Call it a 3-month update, which we're not to the 3 months, but because April's going to be such a busy month for us, we're going to do a little bit early, but just give everybody an update on what we're doing, some of the plans that we have, and some of the directions that we're going, and some of the great things that we have moving on to here at Natty State Sports. So be sure to tune in. I'm sure you guys will be really nice about it when you get into the comments. Before we welcome in Michael Bratton of that SEC podcast, wanted to real quick talk about one of these things that I guess Leslie says. One thing I give Devo credit for is he gave his heart to Jesus Christ and got baptized. So bless his heart, he is good now. Well, here's the thing. I'm not going to get religious or anything like that, but I hope nobody makes fun of that, and something like that. Like if people poke fun at things, that's fine. But I'm not one of those that's ever gonna judge anybody on those things one way or the other. So we'll just leave it at that. Let's get to some football talk, though. Right, a lot of more important things. because Arkansas had their schedule released for 2025, just like the rest of the SEC. Spring practice is on pause right now for the Razorbacks, but they have, of course, spring break going on. They'll be back at it next week. So let's talk some football with Michael Bratton of that SEC podcast. Right now here on the John Nabors Show, we're joined by a very special guest, just like we always are anytime we have guests on. But this one's extra special because it's talking about college football, and a lot of things have been happening today even when it comes to the college football landscape, specifically the SEC and specifically SEC scheduling for 2025. So we're going to talk about that and a lot more as we go ahead and welcome in our guest, Michael Bratton of that SEC podcast, friend of the show. Even though it's his first time, he's still a friend. But Mike, as always, man, appreciate you joining us. How you doing this afternoon?
Yeah, I'm doing good, John. Thanks for having me. Just had the SEC tournament last week here in Nashville where I live, and it was, man, what a disaster that was for a lot of fans, myself included. I was anticipating, hopefully a nice Kentucky-Tennessee showdown. Neither one could even win a damn game. So, but I had a pretty good time with all these people coming into Nashville. So I was telling you off air, not a huge basketball fan, but I get into it for the NCAA tournament. So for the next 72 hours, I'm a diehard fan.
There you go. Well, listen, most people are. They just want to win money on the brackets that they put together. But yeah, well, let's start with the big news, of course, with college football and specifically some of the scheduling for coming out for 2025. We know 2024 heading into this season, but kept wondering if maybe something changes. Maybe it goes to 9 games. Maybe you start having this deal that you have 3 permanent opponents and 6 rotating and everything. But it looks like you're going to be sticking with 8 games, and the schedule, at least from my understanding, doesn't really just do anything crazy. So you got a chance to look at the SEC schedule. Did anything stand out to you for 2025?
Yeah, I mean, it's just I'm just flabbergasted, I guess is the right word, John, with just how lazy this all seems, where they've essentially just kept the same schedule, flipped the home and away games. I hate it. And for a lot of teams, this is bad, John. I really think like Florida. I mean, I kind of kid every time I talk about Billy Napier, but there's truth to it as well. If he somehow survives this upcoming gauntlet he's got this fall, well, by God, he's going to get fired next year because they got the same schedule, just different locations essentially with Miami and Florida State also in a non-conference. So good luck, Billy Napier. Another program that I thought got screwed last time that it just didn't get talked about much is South Carolina, where they don't play Florida, they don't play Georgia, they don't play Tennessee. So now they don't get to play them 2 years in a row. And those are the SEC schools nearest to them. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. And I think this was done so that Texas and Texas A&M could play, and Tennessee, Alabama, and Georgia and Auburn. And I get it. I don't want to see those games go away. But we're basically holding the rest of the SEC hostage so that we can get these 3 games. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. There must have been some other way we could have come about doing this. And there's a lot of moving targets. I think, the playoff, we don't even know. Is it going to be 12? Is it going to be 14? Are we going to be playing 8 games? Are we going to be playing 9 conference games? Are we going to be expanding the conference? I mean, that's a popular topic as well. I guess until we have some of these answers, I guess they just didn't want to fool with the schedule, but I don't know. It just seems lazy. And another one that everyone talks about, rightfully so, John, Georgia has never been to Texas A&M. They've been in the damn league for, 13 seasons now. And Texas and Georgia are playing next year. And they're going to play next year, too. Texas will Texas will travel to Athens, I believe, before or no, I think I have that screwed up. Georgia will visit Austin before they visit College Station. And how in the world does that make sense?
Yeah, I don't think people really think about things making sense when it comes to SEC scheduling and college football and everything. I just kind of go with the chaos that it is. But, when we got a chance to look at Arkansas's 2025 schedule, it's literally the same SEC schedule, just flipped for road games and home games. I guess maybe the caveat is that the A&M game in Arlington's finally going away, and Arkansas is actually going to have A&M at home in 2025. But I look at that and I'm like, okay, so you get A&M at home, Auburn at home, Missouri at home, Mississippi State at home. But then your road games for Arkansas are LSU, Texas, Tennessee, and Ole Miss. So yeah, kind of a gauntlet there. And sounds like I might be making a trip to Austin and over to Knoxville, but didn't do Razorbacks any favors, but that's really par for the course when it comes to scheduling for them.
Is that payback, you think, was I'm trying to remember, and you know better than I, but the COVID year, didn't they play at Kyle Field, A&M?
Yes, they did. They did. Remember, because they played in Kyle Field, and
Right.
Texas A&M, like they only had 30,000 people there, even though it was like 58,000, 80,000. But yes, that was a time where hopefully it is a makeup game for that.
Yeah. So I'm thankful that hey, all due respect to Jerry Jones, I'm so thankful we're moving out of Jerry world, going to home and home. They should abolish most of these neutral site games and playing in pro stadiums. I think that's awful too, but we could spend a whole hour bashing that.
Yeah, I know. Like I don't understand a lot of those things and how it goes into it. But I at least appreciate that, they're trying. I feel like they're trying to make everyone happy, which is going to be impossible. Going to from an 8 game to they're trying to do a 9 game, but it seems like from what we were talking about before the interview started is that you've been saying that they fighting tooth and nail to try to keep it at 8 games. Why is that? Like, why would coaches in SEC want 8 games instead of 9? Is it simply because could mean one less loss, could be a big difference maker, or like why do you think coaches want to stick with the 8 games, or at least these teams want to stick with 8 games?
Because it's hard enough to win as is, and they're afraid of not being able to make a bowl. And really, I think how a lot of these SEC programs are going to be judged moving forward, John, is whether they make the playoff or not. So even some teams at the top, I think you could start to reason why they would rather play 8 over 9. And I think that's the driving force that is kind of dividing Greg Sankey right now, because going back to those games, Texas A&M, Alabama, Georgia, Auburn, Georgia, and many others that have developed into great rivalries in this sport. We want to keep as many of these games. We want to make the regular season great. So we'll go to 9, right? That makes all the sense of the world. But if we go to 9, I promise you, John, I mean, it's just simple math. Teams have to lose. Not everybody can win. And what that is going to do is that's going to eliminate a spot or 2 in the college football playoff. And I am not one of these people that sits here and says, all that matters is the playoff. And I just want my team in the playoff, because we only get 12 Saturdays every year, and I live and die for those 12 Saturdays. Those mean everything to me. But the way the sport is going and the people that are in control of the sport, they are diminishing those 12 Saturdays in favor of a few limited spots in the college football playoff. And Sankey is smart enough to know that if we go to 9, it's going to cost his conference 1 or 2 spots seemingly every year, unless like they were trying to gobble up, 4 guaranteed spots at all these at-large. If they somehow convince the rest of college football to just give them 7 or 8 spots, this will be null and void. But I don't think that's going to happen. So again, what do fans care more about? Do they care more about playing Texas A&M, or do they care about making the college football playoff? And that's kind of the juggling act the SEC is in right now.
Speaking with Michael Bratton of that SEC podcast here on the John Nabors Show. And Mike, looking past it at least a little bit during spring practices, a lot of teams are off for spring break, Arkansas being one of them. But there has been a lot of fascination surrounding Arkansas, at least from Arkansas fans. We got to see Bobby Petrino for the first time in Razorback gear again. You got to see a running back coach that Jimmy Smith leaves, and then Colby Smith comes in, and it's just been kind of chaotic. But just where it stands right now, and just how do you feel about the Razorbacks, spring practice, the offense, defense, everything of where it stands right now for Arkansas?
Well, I can't tell you, John, how many times in the comments, and this confused me at first, but all these Razorback fans, BMFP is back. And I'm like, who is BMFP? And I was like, oh, Bobby Mother effing Petrino, of course. So, I mean, Arkansas fans are high on what they could do, as they seemingly are. I amend that. It's half of them are high. We're gonna take a big step forward, and the other half are like, I don't want to hear about any of this garbage. We say this every year. We suck. We're going to continue to suck. So it's doom and gloom, or it's we're breaking through the glass ceiling this fall, and it's kind of funny to see. But I love the addition of Bobby Petrino, and obviously that goes without saying, his history there in Fayetteville. But I've never in my life have I seen a fan base seemingly do a 180 after a coordinator hire. I mean, not to this level. And bringing in Taylor Green, it sounds like, by all accounts, I've heard you say it, I've heard other people that I know down there say it, that he's going to be QB1 and he's a mile ahead of everybody else. And this was Petrino's handpicked guy. And I think it's kind of comical, John. People just talk out of their ass, I guess, but they don't think Bobby Petrino did a good job at Texas A&M last year. Well, the Aggies went from averaging 22 points per game to 33 points per game in the 1 year Bobby Petrino was down there, and that was with 4 different starting quarterbacks, not because none of them could play, but because they were all getting injured. And 3 of those guys that started multiple games, they all had their best career seasons. So I think Bobby Petrino still got it. And I think something that is, I think it's lost, not among Arkansas fans, but the rest of the SEC, was just the improvement the defense made last season until the tail end of the season. It kind of all fell apart. Now, was that depth? Was that talent? Or was that a defense that knew it doesn't matter what we're going to do, our offense is not going to do a damn thing? So, I don't want to say they gave up, because that's not right to say, but if we can continue those strides on the defensive side of the football, I mean, Bobby Petrino coming in here, if he's pinpointed a quarterback that can really play, I think Arkansas could surprise a lot of people this fall.
I know Razorback fans really want to hear that from you, but it is also kind of interesting where when Bobby came back, you mentioned the excitement from him. I'll never forget, Arkansas played Duke in basketball that same day, or raced around that same time that Arkansas hired Bobby. And then that night, and again, when they played Duke, they rushed the court, and it was amazing how the basketball team was actually good back then. But when they did that, there were students that had painted up for the game that said Bobby across their chest. There were at least 3 different occasions where Bobby, the chant Bobby, came out. And the craziest one was when Arkansas was fans and students and everybody were on the court. And they had rushed it, like Duke had gotten off the court and everything, and they were on there and they're partying, celebrating, and they break out another chant for Bobby. Again, I can't really pinpoint or even relate to how and crazy that is, but it certainly seems like that was the best thing that Sam Pittman could have done to try to win any sort of things back for the fan base, because people were tired of him. People wanted him gone, and I don't think it would have been the worst move in the world if they did, but now that Bobby's here, you just see a rejuvenation of energy, and it was a risky hire for all the reasons but it still seems like one that could really be great or be just meh if Pittman really gives all the offensive power over to Petrino.
So you don't think those Arkansas fans would be chanting for Jim Chaney if he came back?
No, I don't think so, or Chad Morris or any of those guys. I think that they're probably moved on from those and want to do something else. And I don't know, Bobby just really, he provides a little bit more energy than those guys, I feel.
Right. Well, and that's Pittman's thing. I mean, he turns over offense and defense to those guys and lets them coach. And I think that's got to be very attractive to offensive and defensive coordinators, and why he's been able to, obviously the Dan Enos thing didn't work, but I'd say of the other coordinators he's hired, he's nailed it. So, yeah, I mean, again, I think this is going to be a different looking Arkansas team, but it's really going to come. I mean, we could sit here and talk about it all day, John, but it's going to come down to the offensive line. They got some transfers there. They had a player, I guess, essentially give up. I don't know if that's the right word. Just fell out of love with football, whatever Pittman said. So that's a little discouraging, because I thought Chamblee would be a nice piece this year. But if the offensive line doesn't get any better, it doesn't matter if Nick Saban's on the sideline. It's not going to work. Even mighty Alabama couldn't overcome their offensive line issues, and they had about 4 or 5 stars on their offensive line.
Yeah, and we know that Pittman being an offensive line guy, it was so surprising to see. I guess the concerning part, and what's crazy, because I've been able to go to some practices, Mike, and the offense for Arkansas, it's set. They don't have a quarterback competition. It's Taylor Green. They don't have an offensive line competition on who's playing what. They got their 5. They got their wide receivers. They got their tight end. It's all set as of right now, and I don't think it's going to change. The big question is defensively, it was weird to see all the linebackers are gone from last year's team. Pooh went to Ole Miss. You had a transfer that went up to Wisconsin. You had a transfer that went elsewhere. You just really blew up the linebacker room because all of them left. and you brought in Xavion Story from Georgia, as well as maybe a guy like Brad Spence, who played a little bit last year. But to me, that's the most concerning part for Arkansas is that linebacker position. Do you see some other group, especially defensively, that may be more problematic for Arkansas?
Yeah, I mean, we'll have to see, but I'm trying to think. The secondary has been an issue seemingly for a good while as well. So, I mean, if you want to have issues, though, I think the one you can overcome the most is the linebacker, because in this league, you just can't overcome down play on the line of scrimmage. And then with the athletes in this league, too, I mean, you get torched. And, I think a paramount game for Arkansas this fall is obviously that week 2 matchup on the road at Oklahoma State, who I think they won 11 games last year, maybe 10 or 11. But that shouldn't discourage Arkansas fans necessarily, because it's a weaker league. I got no respect for the Big 12. Obviously, neither did Texas and Oklahoma. But and they cheated to beat Oklahoma. You go back and watch that game. But they also lost to South Alabama. So, I mean, that's the Mike Gundy way, where, yeah, he may win 9, 10, 11 games, but he loses to South Alabama. So he's wildly inconsistent. So I don't think Arkansas fans should just chalk up Oklahoma State to an automatic loss. But I think that's going to tell us a lot about this team early in the season. If they win that one, they should be 3-0 headed into the start of SEC play, which I believe the first game is Auburn, which I didn't go so well last year. But I'm not a big believer in Hugh Freeze either. So even though he seems to have Arkansas's number.
And for whatever reason, Arkansas had his number at Ole Miss, but at least at Auburn, it has not gone well for him either. But real quick before I let you get out of here, Mike, shifting it to something more important, NCAA tournament, college basketball. I know you're going to be wrapped up in it. Who you got in your Final Four and who you got winning it all?
Oh, well.
And please don't say Tennessee. Like, come on now. Don't say Tennessee.
No, I was going to say I haven't even done a bracket. So, but, I mean, Auburn looks red hot. Obviously, just won the SEC tournament. For some damn reason, the selection committee does not care what you do in the SEC tournament. I don't even know why we hold it. And it's not just them. I've seen Calipari bitch about it. I've seen Tennessee, when they rarely have won it, they did not get rewarded for that. So I honestly, I don't have one, but I just get wasted and watch all the games, and I just have fun doing it. And I'll tweet a bunch of nonsense during it, no doubt. But I don't know. I think the two teams, I already said Auburn. I think another team that has kind of caught my eye here lately is Florida. I think they could go really far in the tournament, but I just root for Kentucky to get beat in the first round every year. And thanks to John Calipari, that seems to happen more often than not.
Say they haven't had very much success since 2019. I think they've won one NCAA tournament game since then, maybe 2. But yeah, I'm with you. I'd actually, though, I'll be honest about it, Mike. If it comes to SEC teams, I would much rather Tennessee or Kentucky make it to a Final Four than any of the other ones. Like, I don't want to see Alabama. I don't want to see Auburn. I don't want to see A&M. South Carolina, I think, would be okay just because it's kind of a fun story. But actually, this is going to be one of the few times that I may actually say that, hey, I wouldn't mind Tennessee being in the Final Four if it meant keeping all the other SEC teams out of the Final Four.
Yeah. Well, and when you said you were going to ask me about something, I didn't know you were going to go NCAA tournament. I thought, of course, I guess we're not calling it NCAA anymore, but I thought you were going to ask me about the EA Sports video game, who you famously brought to SEC Media Days one year. Do you have any plans to do that for the upcoming one?
I don't know, man. I don't have very high hopes for this video game. I'm really hoping it ends up being great. Like, I do, but it's just EA Sports has not been very kind to the video game genre, especially football. I'll check it out. I'll buy it. I'll probably bring it. I'll that way. But here's the thing: before it was just I was bringing an Xbox 360 because that was the only, it was like the last generation. But now, I mean, I may have to risk it and bring my PlayStation 5. Like really bring the whole thing there too. So I don't know. We'll see. But I'll try to bring it up and see how it goes, and maybe it plays out really well. Maybe it looks good. Maybe it feels good. Maybe it's all of that. But we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, but it's going to be in Dallas. What do you make of that? I know you were so spoiled last year at being in Nashville, but we're going to see you in Dallas this year too, right?
Yeah, I mean, I guess we're just placating to Texas and Oklahoma. I get it, but I personally, I mean, again, I'm biased. I live here, but I would like to see it forever be in Nashville, centrally located. Atlanta's okay, but I don't think it touches Nashville personally. So, even where they have the media days, it seems like it worked a lot better. I just hope and pray we never go back to Hoover. But it is kind of cool to have it move around a little bit, I guess, going to Dallas. My thing with media days, and I love it. I'm not one of these people that complain about it because I'm just honored that I get to go there, because there's been many years where I previously worked, we couldn't get in or they wouldn't let me go. So I'm just happy to be there. But I just wish there was some way, somehow, to involve the fans a little bit more. I think they struggle to do that, and it's the perfect time to get everybody fired up. We just started last year. We're going to do it this year too. We do like a bar meetup with listeners of our show. I don't know why in the world the SEC doesn't do something like that. I think that would be a big hit. And I don't know. I'm looking forward to going down there and drinking a ton of beer. I'll tell you that.
Well, you got to get you out for karaoke too. You got to promise me you're going to come to that.
Well, last time, I'm trying to think what happened. I think we got invited to some party or something, and it kind of sucked. I think I made the wrong decision. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, I think I do remember that too. And I was laughing at you while we were just having the best of times and hanging out there in some cool spots in Nashville. But either way, lots of things going on in the landscape of college football, but nobody knows more than the guy in the SEC. That is Michael Bratton of That SEC Podcast. And Mike, as always, appreciate you joining us, man. We'll be catching up with you, I'm sure, here in the next few weeks.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me, especially on the John Nabors Show, new platform. I'm loving it.
We're not done yet either. So don't be satisfied because we're not done.
I mean, honestly, I don't really remember post game. I guess I black out after games, winning and losing.
You missed it. You missed it. You missed it. Just tell me you missed it. I'm not going to go there with you, Dave. Why not?
And that will be the last question I answer with that hat on.
Oh, shoot.
That is why Arkansas is fantastic.
Yes, sir.
And I didn't like the game, but I'm glad I was able to walk off the floor again and deep inside and have that funny feeling that, hey, one more time, Horns.
Best guys, I know it's a tough time for you. The coach is gone, but you got a new coach now, and you got to listen to what he says. Okay, I know you're thinking, oh, who is this new guy? Where's the other guy that crashed the motorcycle? We like him better. He was cool or whatever. Forget about all that. Listen to the new coach and get out there and win some games.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks. You guys act like it's... Pick it up a little bit. Okay? Get your chin up. Smile. Smile. Okay? Dang, you guys, all right? If not, I'm not talking.
I'm so excited. Red. Oh.
Guys, I've got just one thing I want to say to you. Touchdown, Arkansas!
I was a teacher today. Told those boys, welcome to the SEC.
Well, Fayetteville is 1,843 miles away, but the call of the Hogs can be heard all the way to San Francisco.
Let's stick my dick in the mashed potatoes. Go Hogs.
Powered by Arkansas, for Arkansas.
Every time you put a mic in my face, I'm going to say Arkansas.
The John Nabors Show is live from the Natty State Sports Studios.
All right, so final segment here on the John Nabors Show, here live from the Natty State Sports Studios. Appreciate everybody listening in and all of you that have been watching in as we're getting it going, doing some big-time great things here at Natty State Sports. And as a reminder, we'll be doing a live stream tonight talking about all the great updates that we have working into the mix. So it should be a lot of fun to see everybody be a part of it and ask your questions and be really nice about it too, because we like giving updates. We like communicating with people of what we're doing and how we're doing it and the fashion that we're doing it. So, but we do have a few things that we need to discuss as part of the hey, did y'all see this segment? Because there's just a few things because we're going to close up shop here a little bit early. But I will say that Dan Blazarian, I don't know of you that actually know this guy, but look him up if you haven't heard of him. He's got an interesting story, an interesting background. He was just one of those guys that made a lot of money, you think, and then he's like spending it all on great things, like going and like his social media was insane. Like he was just going on yachts and like just having a ton of beautiful women around him and just taking pictures of it. And it was just very strange. Everyone's like, how did you get to this life? Well, a lot of it seems that it was better, or not necessarily true, but apparently he says now, I think he's still a thing. So he's discovered the truth after having sex with thousands of women that monogamy is better, as strange as it is. What a concept. I just like, okay, this guy, man. I don't even want to play the clip. I don't even want to give him that time of day. I'm at least talking about him. But like, yeah, that's just terrible. And he's a guy that's been in the, it's basically a circus is what he's been involved in, is what it certainly seems like. But yeah, he wanted to let everybody know that that's what he's been feeling. So also I want to talk about this. We did with Bobby Reagan a little bit, but Virginia. The fact that they got into the NCAA tournament is a travesty. And it was 42 points they scored against Colorado State. 42 points. Folks, I'm not lying when I say this. Arkansas was more worthy of being in the NCAA tournament than Virginia. Because I bet you Arkansas would have beaten Colorado State. They would have at least scored more than 42 points. There was a time last night that a graphic popped up that Virginia had gone over 10 minutes without a basket, without a score, without a free throw, nothing. 10 minutes. Like, that's terrible. So that was one that the committee got right. And I love this picture that this guy was wearing the shirt. Virginia basketball is Iowa football. Yes, I love that. I love that so much. That's so great. That shirt needs to be on everything there. But yeah, look at this. Last made field goal. This was from a screenshot from last night at 9:48 p.m. Eastern time. Okay. Well, you're like, okay, so what time is it? Well, this is Central time because that's what I'm on right now. So this tweet was put out at 10:48 Eastern, or 10:38 Eastern time. They had gone nearly an hour of real time since they had made a basket. Just terrible. Absolutely terrible. 0 points in 9:19. I mean, come on. How do you get that way? In the final 9:20 of the first half, Virginia scored as many points in Dayton as Oklahoma, Seton Hall, Indiana State, and Pittsburgh did tonight. Good tweet by John Fanta, because that's 0, which those are the teams that were more worthy of being in the NCAA tournament instead of them. But still, just I hate stuff like that. I hate it. It's part of it, though. They're not going to get it right every single time, but I still don't want it. But hey, it's the way it goes sometimes. We're done here, though. Appreciate each and every one of you watching in and listening into the John Nabors Show. Be sure to like and subscribe to the show, as well as to Natty State Sports across all of our social media platforms, especially our YouTube page, as we are blowing up and doing some big-time things when it comes to covering Razorback basketball in the transfer portal. Scotty and Curtis are killing it. Andrew's doing a great job with the Bombastic podcast. So we have all the elite-level digital content you're not going to get anywhere else except here at Natty State Sports. So be sure to subscribe to it all. Same sports show, same sports channel. Tomorrow afternoon. Have a great day, folks. And we can't wait to see you tomorrow. We'll talk a little March Madness with you. Have a great night.